It's a top 5 battle in Long Island. After a 14-9 win over Notre Dame, Syracuse men's lacrosse is riding high. But the Orange go from a packed-out dome to the home of Cornell. The Big Red have certainly lived up to their billing as the top team in the nation. Sporting only one loss this year, it's been a showcase, especially from CJ Kirst. But SU packs some punch of its own. Number 1 versus number 4. Cornell versus Syracuse. The countdown is on, and it starts right now. Welcome inside our CitrusTV studios for another edition of Cuse Countdown. Alongside Sam Reis and Hudson Ridley, I'm Srikar, Rajendran. A big one, fellas, that's not happening too far from here. Syracuse versus Cornell on Long Island. But before that, it was number 5 Notre Dame for the Orange, a 14-9 win. Sam, this team's got to be buzzing after that.
Oh, you absolutely have to be buzzing. A team in Notre Dame that's been SU's kryptonite over the last several years now, Hudson. And, you know, the way that game started, you go down 3-0, and you're thinking, oh, same story again. But after that, that was the most complete performance, I've seen from this team. It's fair to say, in my opinion, that the Orange dominated the rest of the way. On the defensive end, not allowing a goal to a Notre Dame team averaging 16 goals per game for about 40 minutes. That's unheard of. And then on the offensive end, they did their job. 2 for 2 on extra man opportunities. Mullen did well in the circle. Spallina showed up. It was about all you could ask for, and they have to be feeling good about themselves heading into this trip to the island.
When there's something big that happens, I don't know if it's just me. Do you get I get a buzz in my teeth. Does that happen to you?
Absolutely.
When a big thing, okay, I was worried.
Me too,
I was hoping that wasn't like a medical problem. That when I think about this game, there's that buzz in my teeth because I think about, wow, this was the first time in 8 games in that span that they had beat Notre Dame, and they did so very convincingly after they went down 3-0, and you don't always see them play a full 60 minutes. They didn't play a full 60 minutes in this one, but it's about as close as they played to a top team of a full 60 minutes. So I think right now, what Syracuse has done on the defensive end has helped them on the offensive end. It all came together there, and I think that gives them a much better chance now.
Well, you mentioned it, Hudson. If you want to pinpoint any area that won Syracuse that game, how about the defense? There was a 40-minute stretch there where Notre Dame just did not score. Hudson, the epitome of being locked down.
No, exactly, and the idea of the defense was so good in this one. The reason being, after the game, I was like, I want to know the thoughts of the best person. So I went and I asked Paul Carcaterra, what did you think Syracuse did so well defensively? And he told me they beat guys to spots and they forced uncomfortable shots. Chris Kavanaugh could not get off a lefty shot to save his life in that game because each time Riley Figueres was body on body, forced him away. Jake Taylor, who's a doorstep guy, right in the middle, what did they do? One side Billy Dwan, the other side Michael Grace, condensed down on them. They don't have that offense that works through X that well anymore because they need Chris Kavanaugh above goal line extended to make plays, and because of that, they became so much more limited. Syracuse was the first team to take advantage.
And I'll tell you what, Hudson, the defense deserves all of its credit without a doubt, but Jimmy McCool, too, I think deserves his flowers. Another double-digit save performance. He had a few big-time stops as well on some of those man downs when Notre Dame, on a rare occasion, did have a good look from point-blank range. So between McCool's play and goal and what the defense is doing in front of him, it's all a good sign of what Moderna's group is doing currently for the Syracuse team.
Well, we know a great deal about guys like Joey Spallina, obviously, but there's been some unsung heroes over the past few games for this SU squad. Trey Deer has become an X factor more than ever. Peyton Anderson has found his footing. Sam, you got to really applaud the depth that this team has assembled.
Especially Peyton Anderson. I've been very impressed with this guy just in the last 2 games alone, really. Ever since conference play began, he's playing an elevated role, getting more minutes, and understandably so, because he's performing very well. Remember in that Virginia game, Hudson, it was that Air Anderson goal, you could say, that got Syracuse finally some momentum on its side towards the end of the first quarter. In the Notre Dame game this past weekend, he's the one who gets Syracuse on the board and gives them a spark.
In that same way, too.
In that same way, exactly. Sprinting towards goal. I love the fearless way he plays. For a freshman to be doing that, that only adds more depth. I've been very, very impressed with Peyton Anderson these last few games.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you look at the graphic that we just showed, you have to love Owen Hilton. Trey Deer was back-to-back 4-goal performances going into UVA. So the fact that he didn't start that takes a lot of cojones from Gary Gait in that to not start Trey Deer in that spot, instead going with Peyton Anderson because he wanted downhill Dodgers, and he has that with Anderson and Leo. Anderson stepped up in a major way, and it's not just that, he can also play at X, which allows Joey Spallina finally to have the confidence to play above goal line extended, and you're seeing it in some of the goal tallies. We saw in prior years, Spallina, he was all just built up on assists. Well, now he has the goal tallies to go with it, and it's because he can dip in and out of those zones. He's not the focal point because you still have to worry about the speed and strength of Peyton Anderson.
Well, it's been 6 up, 6 down for the Orange with wins over Johns Hopkins, Colgate, Notre Dame. Hudson, some really good quality wins in there. What's impressed you the most? Because the Orange starting to hit midseason form. What's been impressing you?
Well, to me, in that stretch, it really is just the Notre Dame game that impresses me. And it's kind of worrying a little bit because you look at every game that Syracuse has played in that stretch, and when people go, Syracuse is back, that's a huge thing. People say, oh, is Syracuse back?
Yes.
They maybe are not. This 6-game win streak, longest under Gary Gait, is great. When you look at the teams, though, you kind of wonder, okay, who do they play? Johns Hopkins is bad. They are not very good, and they've proven it in the last couple of weeks. Notre Dame, I mean, they're a 3-loss team now, but nobody's good in college lacrosse, so who even knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. Who knows in this great season of college lacrosse? It's got me fired up because expect the unexpected. Who knows who's good at this point? But I will say, the reason I didn't think this win streak was legit until this Notre Dame game. Now I give them some credit because before it was, like, they can't play a complete game. They played poorly at the end against Colgate. They didn't wake up early enough against Manhattan, Virginia. But you said it earlier, this was as close to a complete performance as you could have asked for after a bit of a slow start. And that is a legit Notre Dame team in my book. So I'll give them that. And I do think momentum's a thing at this part of the season.
But fellas, I'm sensing some negativity at this desk right now. We have to validate this win streak at least a little bit. And one guy that can do that, it's time to bring in a special guest. When we come back, our reporter, John Boccio, will join us on the countdown. Stay tuned.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW.
Welcome back to Cuse Countdown. My name is Srikar, Rajendran. I've already introduced Sam Reis and Hudson Ridley, but look at this guy, John Boccio, ladies and gentlemen, our men's lacrosse beat reporter. John, we always appreciate you having you on, and this is a first for you also, but
Srikar,
hey,
it's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, but I'm sure you saw that Notre Dame game. My question for you revolves around that game quite precisely. I want to ask you, what does Syracuse need to do in terms of carrying over from that win into this game against Cornell?
Well, Srikar, you see, there were a lot of positives that you take from that Notre Dame game, and a lot of what you guys were talking about before is exactly what I want to cover, and that's that Joey Spallina needs to stay aggressive in this one. It's positively the reason that Syracuse won that game against Notre Dame. A familiar face, well, what's his name? Hudson Ridley said on a Spallina goal call against ND that sophomore Spallina would have looked for a pass. Junior year Spallina isn't afraid to shoot the ball. Let's think back to that last game against Notre Dame. We saw Spallina take 10 shots, his tied most of the season, and in that one, it just added a whole other layer to the electricity of this offense, and that's exactly what Syracuse needs out of Joey Spallina. When he is taking shots, this offense is at its best, without a doubt.
All right, John, I've swapped in for Srikar here. I want to focus on the Cornell side of things. I know, I just magically appeared here a little shorter as well.
Happens.
On this Cornell team, of course, the talk is CJ curse this, CJ curse that, and understandably so with how good he is. But I'm curious, what player should we be looking out for outside of Kirst in terms of attackmen that could cause SU's defense some struggles in this game?
Sam, I find this to be a pretty easy answer, to say the least, and that's because it has to be Michael Long for Cornell. I mean, this guy is third on Cornell in points, and even past that, he's second on the team in goals behind Kirst. Now, what, may he have half of Kirst's goals this season? Potentially, but it's on the second best shot. It's on the second best shot percentage that Cornell has. 47.5%, 19 goals on 40 shots. It doesn't get much better than that. When you look at Michael Long, what you have to look at most, even past the goal scoring, past dishing it out to his teammates, ultimately, Michael Long is great at keeping the ball in his stick. Just 12 turnovers, one more than CJ Kirst this season, and ultimately, you'll find Michael Long to have the ball quite a bit more than CJ Kirst does. So when I look at this Cornell offense, and you have to look past CJ Kirst at certain points, you gotta say Michael Long is the guy to watch out for.
John, they took Srikar, they took Sam, they put them together.
I don't know what's going on.
I feel like that's a pretty accurate representation. I got a question that kind of fuses those two together as well. Obviously, you talked about Michael Long and what he can provide to the team, but at the end of the day, it is Kirst who runs this show. What does Syracuse have to do to stop CJ Kirst?
So, Hudson, it's a difficult question, right? Because there is no shutting down CJ Kirst, so to say. But what you can do is slow him down. And how Syracuse going to do that? Stop the defensive miscommunications. On just the first goal against Notre Dame in the last game for SU, we saw Syracuse miscommunicate horrendously. Notre Dame's attackman Will Angrick is driving down the right alley. Billy Dwan is the one man-on-man defender. And guess what happens? Dwan draws the slide. So a pick comes to Dwan. It's set. Dwan goes around it. Carter Reis picks him up because Dwan couldn't get there fast enough. Now Dwan's still hustling to Will Angrick. Meanwhile, it leaves a wide open Matthew Jeffrey for a score, and that was ND's first of the game. Ultimately, defensive miscommunications are exactly what is going to take Syracuse out of this game. It is very difficult to stop CJ Kirst, but the only way that you can do it is by not letting him get his hands free. And how's that going to happen? Syracuse has to either pick up the extra man or slide correctly. When you get the pick, you have to switch. And if you're going to switch, you got to do it fast, especially when it comes to CJ Kirst.
Back in my body.
Welcome.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Hi.
Well, it's always great hearing from you, but I have one more question to ask of you. Give me a little score prediction. Who do you think's going to win this one?
So it's going to be a close one, right? 1 versus 4.
Yep.
Cornell versus Syracuse, Central New York foes. But
Oh, yeah.
when you boggle it down to the nitty-gritty of this game, with how good Syracuse is playing right now, you gotta give them the nod. And that's why I say 16-15 SU. It's gonna be really hard to stop CJ Kirst, but it might be even harder to stop Joey Spallina right now. On Inside Lacrosse's most recent Tewaaraton watch list, they had him as second in the voting behind CJ Kirst, who might just be the best player in the country. He is the best player in the country.
Go ahead, stand on it.
Ultimately, I'll say 16-15 SU.
Well, John, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and you obviously have great insight. Thank you for joining us on Cuse Countdown. But when me, Sam, and Hudson return, it's time to dive deeper into the top team in the nation. We'll be breaking down Cornell when we come back on the Countdown. Stick with us. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown alongside Sam Reis and Hudson Ridley. I'm Srikar Rajendran. Still breaking down Cornell and Syracuse, a top 5 battle on Long Island. But let's talk about Cornell for a second because the Big Red are on a heater, 9-1 on a 5-game win streak. Sam, what's been your evaluation of the number 1 team in the nation?
Yeah, they're deservedly the number 1 team at the nation at this stage, Hudson, but it's still a beatable team. The game they lost was to Penn State in overtime at home. They also barely beat Richmond. Their last game as well against Brown, not too convincing of a win, so don't get me wrong. They've had some good wins, some quality opposition. But it's not like they've been steamrolling their opponents. So I think there are some flaws in this team, especially on the defensive end. And that's why they are still a beatable team in my mind.
I mean, when you look at Brown as well in that last game, you think, boy, that's a close game. Brown, must be a good team. What you don't factor in is the fact that Brown was actually playing their scout team against Cornell, who could barely get by him.
They won the face-off.
Yeah, they won the face-off battle. Brown's head coach has a tradition where the scout team beats the regular team. They play against the opponent no matter who it is. It just happened to be number 1 Cornell. And Brown still kept it close. I think the Big Red are built on a house of cards. I think Syracuse matches up perfectly. Obviously, you have to fear C.J. Kirst, but I do think this win streak is a little suspect.
Well, one thing that is a given in this matchup is the fireworks that it's going to bring. And we saw that just last year when Cornell took down SU in double overtime, 18-17. That game had us all on the edge of our seats, Hudson. I'm sure you remember it quite vividly.
Oh, no, I certainly do. That game, I remember watching it at home sick and thinking, okay, well, this game's over. Last second, Syracuse storms back. Last second, Cornell storms back and forth. The craziest lacrosse game I think maybe you'll ever see. That was a heart racer, and it proves what this rivalry is. I mean, 103 matchups, and every time it's good.
Easily the best game in all of college lacrosse last season from a neutral perspective. I mean, it had a little bit of everything, just the runs in that game. Remember, Oderna got tossed early on.
Same with Pat March, also got thrown out.
Yes, they got thrown out early in that game. It was a rainy Tuesday night there in Ithaca with Cornell having home field advantage. And this one...
Plenty of people in the stands there, too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is a great tradition, these two teams playing each other. Why wouldn't you? Two great Central New York rivals, and it's always a good non-conference matchup.
Well, you know what time it is. It's time for our Cuse Countdown marquee matchup. Let me tell you something. Both of these attacks have something in common. Both of them have a star at the helm. For SU, this guy right here, Joey Spallina. But for Cornell, it's been C.J. Kirst bearing the load on offense. Our guy, Sam, has more on what these offenses bring to the table.
Hey, thanks so much, Srikar. Sam and Hudson with you at the wall, and listen up. C.J. Kirst versus Joey Spallina. Does it get much better than this? I don't really think so.
No.
And these two are so talented to the point where we're going to break it all down in terms of why both of these players are so effective. Hudson's going to break down Spallina in a moment, but I want to start with the opposition for Syracuse this weekend and C.J. Kirst. You could definitely make the case that he's the best goal scorer in the country. Look at this right here. A little hesitation move where it's a stop and start move, makes the defender commit all the way down the alley, but Kirst hits the brakes, spins around, and scores from a decent way out. Now, that's not the only way C.J. Kirst is effective, though, near the goal, because when he's close to the goal like this, he can sting it. And on this play right here, we're going to get a slow-mo look at the replay. The defenseman, first of all, needs to shift over in a more timely manner, but he's stick side away from Kirst, but he needs to close in even more, because if you give Kirst even that much space, a stick's length, he's going to sting it like that. Something to keep in mind for Syracuse if they want to handle him on Saturday, Hudson.
Kirst is the most dangerous player in the country when he has the ball. Joey Spallina, on the other hand, is a little bit different. I want you to take a look at this clip right here. What he does so well is off-ball movement. Once Joey Spallina dumps this ball off, I want you to look at the path that he takes while it circles around. He has been playing above the goal line more and allows for plays like this. He's going to flash right in between the zone, boom, right between the legs. It is so easy for Joey Spallina because he knows exactly where to be now. We've seen him in past years only play at X&B Limited. Yeah. Then he started to develop his game a little bit more last year. Now with Peyton Anderson right there at X as a true scoring threat, Spallina can go off the ball more, find cuts, find movement. That's Sean Light, one of the best defensemen in NCAA. He cuts across, finds the back of the net. That is what makes Joey Spallina so dangerous. In Syracuse, that gives them a chance to beat Cornell today. Srikar?
Well, you talk about a one-man effort. Spallina makes that type of game-changing impact, and so does CJ Kirst. I mean, look at these stats. Obviously, in points, they're pretty evenly matched, but Kirst, an absolute dominant scorer, 49 goals on the year, absolutely ridiculous. Spallina, more of a guy that likes to share the wealth, 34 assists for him. But while we can talk about how dominant CJ Kirst has been for this Cornell team, can we really say the same about the supporting cast? Maybe, but there are some bright spots. Ryan Goldstein has 46 points this season. Michael Long is another guy that we could look out for. Look, overall, it's a little bit of a rocky road with the supporting cast, Hudson.
No, I certainly think it is, but that also kind of plays into the reason why CJ Kirst is so good is because they give him the ball all the time. If you have a dominant player like CJ Kirst, give it to him. The rest of the offense is going to suffer as a result. I mean, when you think back to guys like Kobe Bryant, when he dropped 81 points, how many did other people score? When Wilt Chamberlain dropped 100 points, which maybe he didn't, how many did other people score? Probably not a lot, because why do you need them to? This is the same thing with CJ Kirst, where they're the #1 team in the country right now, just off the back of CJ Kirst scoring. Why do you need to go anywhere else? So exactly. I mean, it's a little bit of chicken and the egg, what causes what, but I think the synergy of, the spot that they're in right now, how they're playing, and the style that they're playing really goes well together.
I mean, Cornell has played 10 games, and this guy has 49 goals. I'm not good at math, but that's about 5 goals per game. I mean, that's out of
still good,
this world.
Well,
thank you, I appreciate it. That's enough math for today. But I mean, to Hudson's point, this guy keeps on getting it done against some of the best opposition too. Like, why wouldn't you keep feeding him? There's still plenty of talented attackmen. You mentioned Michael Long and Ryan Goldstein. I mean, we heard all the praise John was giving Michael Long, and rightly so. It's just they're both on a team where CJ Kirst is that guy, so they keep feeding him, and it gets the job done. So I'm not really concerned in that department.
Lots of things to look forward to on both sides of the ball in this matchup, but when we return on Cuse Countdown, we'll be looking at the potential ramifications of this game on the rest of the lacrosse world. We'll be right back. For one final time, welcome back to Cuse Countdown alongside Sam Reis and Hudson Ridley. I'm Srikar Rajendran, still breaking down Syracuse versus Cornell, a top 5 battle on Long Island. But look, these are 2 top 5 teams, as I just mentioned, and there could be a lot of movement happening in that top 20. But even before this matchup, there's still a lot of movement going on. Sam, what have you noticed?
I've noticed that the Ivy League and ACC, really, really good, as usual. I mean, we take a look right behind me at the current rankings. You've got 3 teams from both of those conferences within the top 10. We're talking about this Cornell-Syracuse matchup 1 versus 4, but there's so much talent across both of those conferences. Of course, the Big Ten always going to be talked about in lacrosse, but it goes to show you the depth of these conferences. The one team that's not ranked in the top 20 in the ACC is Virginia. Syracuse nearly lost to them. A team that's not ranked in the Ivy League, Brown. They hung tough there with Cornell. That was a tie game with about 8 minutes left. So these 2 conferences are just absolutely loaded, Hudson, and it's exciting we get a matchup like this.
I mean, to me, it really makes me wonder, too, who's good? Right? I mean,
agree.
You look at this top 12, there's not a lot of parity in college lacrosse.
Everyone has a loss.
Yep.
Everybody has a loss. And when you look at, the RPI, they think Princeton is better than they are. But when you look at, other metrics, people really like Ohio State. Who have they really been tested against? Well, they played Notre Dame. Well, is Notre Dame any good? Syracuse has beaten Notre Dame, but Syracuse has also lost to Harvard. So anybody can beat anybody. Army, Lord knows, I mean, they're number 5. Right now, we don't know a lot, and for that reason, I mean, it's just really confusing right now.
Well, fellas, let me ask you one thing. Let's assume Syracuse is to beat Cornell this Saturday. How do these rankings switch up? Where does the shuffling occur?
Syracuse goes to number 1.
For sure.
Ohio
That's the
State
given.
stays at number 2 with a win. That's a big game against Michigan that they have. Princeton moves down to 4. I bet Cornell slots on top of Princeton.
I don't know what the heck's going on with the rankings this year. I say Syracuse moves up to 2 if they win, and we'll see what happens.
Should be interesting. Well, fellas, right before we get into what you guys think Syracuse needs to do to win this game, what's happening here? I look kind of cool. I look kind of cool.
It's your last show, dude.
Srikar,
come on.
We want to thank you. This is Srikar's final show with CitrusTV. It's his senior year, and this is how he's ending it, is with us on Cuse Countdown. It's been a heck of a ride for you, Srikar. And I know Sam and I have both watched you grow a lot. I know a lot of people have watched you grow a lot, and we're very proud of the position that you've come to, and we're very proud of you and your growth as a person. You've made it very easy for us, and we're glad to get to share this on air.
Absolutely. I echo everything Hudson said. I mean, those watching can't see behind the camera, but so many people are here in the studio because of you, man. You impacted so many people, including me. You always put a smile on everyone's faces, and the fact that Hudson and I got to do a show with you this semester and be a part of your final show means a lot. The future is bright for you, and you're one of the kindest people I know. So it really means a lot that I get to be a part of this, Srikar.
Well, fellas, I'm speechless. I mean, I appreciate you guys for the kind words. This station means absolutely everything to me. When I came in here as a sophomore, I did not think that this would be where the journey takes me, but I'm so happy that I got to savor and experience every single moment, and especially with you two. Again, it's a really humbling moment, but I really thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. But hey, we still have a game to kind of go over here, fellas. But let's get one key for this game. Hudson, what you got for us?
You have to beat C.J. Kurtz to his spots. Talked about it earlier. It's the way they beat Jake Taylor and Chris Kavanaugh. It's the way they beat Brendan O'Neill last year. A big game out of either Billy Dwan or Riley Figueres is what it's going to take. But if they lock him down and they force him off his mark, like Sam, if I beat you to your spot, you're in your spot here. If I beat you to your spot, Sam can't shoot right there. Sam might be a righty, right? But all of a sudden, Sam can't get that angle on me because I'm more physical.
Sam, fight
That's
back,
exactly
fight back.
what they need to do.
No,
Sam's got no shot against me. That's what the Syracuse defense needs to do. Now, Sam is no C.J. Kurtz, so that may be tough. But I'm also no Billy Dwan, so we'll have to see how this matchup shakes out.
Hey, it was a good example.
Yeah, that was good. Good back and forth.
I'm going to focus on the offensive side of things. I think if Joey Spallina shows up in this one early, it bodes well for the Syracuse offense. A lot of talk about he can't perform in the big games. Well, he certainly did it against Notre Dame, and if he can be that playmaker or scoring goals like he did against Notre Dame, I think this offense is in good shape for the Orange. Srikar.
Hudson, you play some physical defense, man. But Sam, let's get a score prediction for this one. We just broke down this entire game. Who you got winning?
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse coming off its most impressive win of the season against Notre Dame. It rides momentum onto Long Island, 14-12. Give me the Orange. I think Syracuse has enough to get this done. A little more low scoring than last year's thriller, Hudson, but still a fun game.
You took it low scoring. When you go low, I go lower. Right now, I have 12-9 Syracuse. I think that physical defense comes into play. C.J. Kurtz gets locked down. If you don't let C.J. Kurtz beat you, the other guys on the team will fall in line. That's what Gary Gates said against Notre Dame. That's the same approach they have to take here. I'm sure they do it, and I think Syracuse wins this one 12-9.
It's going to be a close one. Someone's got to be the villain here, and it's going to be me. I'm going to go 15-14 Cornell in this game, but this is a pretty big pick for me, fellas, because if we look at the standings, I don't think I'm that high up. In fact, I think I'm second to last right now.
You need a buzzer beater.
Yeah, I really need to get off the schneid here. I mean, 2-3 is not the worst thing in the world. Max Gifford sitting right down in last, 0-1. But Adam Avin at 2-0. You look at Andrew Delapiana at 2-0. A lot of 2-0s up there.
Hey.
Looks pretty Mickey to me.
Right now, though, if I go 3-0, jump right to the top of the list. You see me there tied for third, 2-0, and only 8-point differential. That includes basketball, by the way, where the point differentials are a lot bigger. So let me tell you right now, kind of in my
I know,
bag
the
a little bit.
differentials matter.
They do.
matter 100%.
They do. That's a huge differential right there, but I think I can cut the gap here.
So what if I go 2-0? Can I still win it?
2-0?
Yeah.
What's your other projection?
That's
a fair point. You only get
women's lacrosse.
women's
Well,
lacrosse? I don't think we count that towards the standings, do we?
No, we didn't. No, we did. We did.
We did. Let's go.
Okay.
I still have a chance.
So I can go 4-0 and win this.
Hey, let's hope for some luck with the predictions. Cornell, Syracuse. But we want to thank you for tuning in to Cuse Countdown. For Sam Reis, Hudson Ridley, I'm Srikar Rajendran saying so long and thank you for joining me on my journey. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time on The Countdown.